All right, 9 o'clock on your Thursday morning. Welcome in. It is the Extra Point. We are on location today, 515 Gervais Street at Midas, ahead of a pretty big event going on later on this afternoon. If you're watching us on live stream, you can see the promotion behind us. Jaden Sellers, David Busey, Lenore Sellers, Nick Harper, Bakari Swain, Shed Surratt, Jaworn Howell, Carter Miller, and Mike Tyler, and more as well. All going to be out here signing autographs, meeting fans, taking pictures, and so much more. So we're warming you up for that from 9 to noon today. But, yeah, going to be a real cool thing they're doing later on this afternoon from 3:30 until 5:30 if you want to get out here and meet some of your favorite Gamecocks.
Is the and more going to be Wes and Chris signing autographs for
I thought
everyone?
it was you. I thought
Me?
it was you, Jack.
No.
Not with that Yankees hat on.
No,
you would not be welcome here.
No.
But
No one wants my autograph.
yeah, excited for everybody to come out and see these guys. And I mean, we're what, Tyler? 51 days to kick off.
51 days. Yep.
I mean, you're probably actually running out of time for events like this. At some point soon, they're going to be in camp. They're going to be focused on football. Yeah. So maybe one of the final opportunities to come out. And certainly, if you want to meet a bunch of the guys at once, that's a bunch of starters right there.
Oh yeah,
some future NFL talents. And if you haven't been here, man, like you really can't miss it. Like if you're driving down Gervais, away from 5 Points towards the State House, it's a brand new, like, beautiful building here on the right. You will see it, and we're gonna be telling everybody throughout the show why they should come to Midas for their car care needs, and also why they should come out and hang out with these guys. 3:30 to 5:30, 1515 Gervais Street, Columbia.
I think we're in the room where they're going to be set up. If I had to guess, I can't confirm or deny that.
They also have a tent outside, so I don't know.
They do, but I don't know if you can fit all those guys under that tent.
True.
So they're going to be somewhere here in the building. So again, 3:30 to 5:30, come by and see some of your favorite Gamecocks here at Midas at 515 Gervais Street. And again, just another one of 1515. Excuse me, 1515 Gervais Street. Another one of many things that get you excited and ramped up for the start of football season in 51 days until we get kicked off. We'll get to the number 51 coming up a little bit in the next segment. But guys, last night was one of the few nights of the entire year where you don't have any live sports on, or any significant sports on that most people are following. How did we spend our sportsless night last night?
No surprise. Went to see a movie.
Okay, what did we see?
The Invite. I'd love to explain it to you guys, but I'm going to have to explain it off air because it went the way the whole plot played out was completely different than what I thought it would be.
Okay.
And it's probably not appropriate enough to talk about on air.
All right.
So yeah, that'll be out off the air. But yeah, that was what I did last night. First time cooking in the new place. So,
right.
Yeah,
we've been tracking Jack's move-in progress out in Irmo.
Still have not made had the couch cleaner come yesterday, so that was good. Couches, carpet, all clean. That was because they got filthy during the move-in, but cleaned. And then made some chicken parm sliders last night, which were pretty good, I thought.
Yeah.
So
Chef Jack over here.
He's growing up before our eyes over here.
Yeah, I know. So.
Couldn't find a parking lot, but he is growing up as a Chef Jack over here. So what'd you do, Tyler?
Huh?
What'd you do last night?
Oh man, we have you seen that Netflix series on the American Experiment?
No.
It's like a 5-part series for America 250 that like talks about the founding of the country, the Revolutionary War, the first couple of years, and all that. We've been working on it for a couple weeks or a couple days, and we finally finished it last night. And then I went to bed early because I didn't have anything to stay up and watch. So I was like, all right, I'm tired. I'm going to go to bed, and I feel rested and refreshed today.
Feel great. Feel good. Ready to roll.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about you?
I played softball, so I got my own sports in. Still, even at this age and even with a baby, I still get out there every now and then. So it happened to work out. Got to play last night. That was about it, man. I wanted to catch up on some Netflix, but didn't have time.
You can't just say that you played softball. How did you do?
What are the stats?
Did your team win?
What's the line?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was a pretty good day. It was, I think we won like 20-1, something like that. So, I'm not going to disparage the opponent, but it was a little bit of a bloodbath if those can happen in slow pitch softball.
Now, do y'all have run rules?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And there's also a per inning run rule as well.
What is it? Like 5 runs?
7 runs in an inning. You switch it up.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably. So, how long did the game go?
I guess 5. I think they let us go an extra inning, to be honest. sometimes they'll kind of be like, hey, everybody wants to keep playing or whatever. It felt long, but yeah, it was a pretty good day.
Yeah. Good. Well, again, one of the few sportsless nights of the year. I don't know. Nobody got into the ESPYs. No,
not really.
Yeah.
I'm not about it.
No.
I saw Jim Abbott's speech. He got the Jimmy V award. I thought that was pretty neat.
That's cool. Nice.
But I just scrolled on Twitter and saw that. But yeah, I don't have much interest in watching the ESPYs at any point. So yeah, that's what was happening last night, or wasn't happening last night. And again, we're getting closer to the start of college football season. A week from now, we'll be wrapping up media days. Again, Beamer and all the players going to be speaking on Tuesday, and then again this time next week we'll be closing things out, and we'll be 44 days away from Carolina kicking things off. And then, as we talked about, birthdays with Beamer roughly a week later, and then right after that, you're rolling right into preseason camp. So it's coming fast.
Yeah, it always does. It'll be here before we know it. And, I feel like, I don't know, this summer feels like it's flown by a little bit faster even than usual. So we'll be curious to see what we learn next week. If anything, there's always – I feel like media days is, 90% national, regional media asking questions we've all heard the answer to all off season.
Yeah.
And then maybe 10% or sometimes less of you getting some answers to stuff that I think are legitimate questions of topics that we're actually wondering about. To me, if you're a fan and you're trying to take in media day and be as efficient as possible, find what Beamer said in the little local media gaggle, scrum, whatever you want to call it. That's when you're going to get, if you're a Gamecock fan, actual new information potentially, as opposed to just all the big picture stuff that we all covered and already talked about ad nauseum in the spring. So I would pay attention when that goes up on YouTube or transcript goes up on Gamecock Central. That would be where you're going to find your actual information next week.
I would agree. I think the main things we're going to hear on Tuesday, at least what I'm expecting when we're out there, is we'll hear an update probably on Peak and Stewart. I'll be asked, I'm sure, in the
injury update in general.
Just in general. See if anything else is going on. That'll probably be in the local media scrum. And then, with the national guys, that's when you're going to get a lot of these big picture questions, like you said, Wes. I'm sure the biggest ones are, how's this Kendall Briles offense going to look with him coming in? Stuff about Sellers. And then obviously, I'm sure there's going to be a question along the way about the pressure that there obviously is coming into this job this year for Shane Beamer after the season that South Carolina had last year. So that would be what I would expect to hear the most about. And then I think kind of piggybacking off of what you said in terms of what new information can you get out of these guys? I mean, we'll hear from Lenoris, Harbor, Peyton Williams. There will be probably some local media stuff with them after Beamer. And then on the main podium floor, those guys will be going in their own individual areas. And you could probably get one-on-ones with them then. But, yeah, as far as the big picture stuff goes, that'll all be with Beamer, I'm sure.
Do you have a question at the top of your mind that you want to ask?
Besides injuries, not yet. Luckily, I have a few days to figure that stuff out. But, just I don't know. It'll come to me eventually.
Yeah. Again, gonna get a lot of insight next week. Is there any, outside of South Carolina and the players there, any other teams or coaches or players you're intrigued to hear from? We didn't really go through the list of the other attendees, but a lot of quarterbacks, from respective teams. Obviously, we hear from the head coaches. Get my attendees list up here.
We'll be there when Kirby's going on Tuesday.
Right.
So that'll be interesting to hear. I'm sure he's probably he's in the morning, so I'm not sure if it's first or.
Are you just doing Tuesday?
So
Are you just doing South Carolina?
Yeah, I'll just be there Tuesday. I'll head down Monday. I'll be there Tuesday all day, and then Wednesday I'll head back.
Won't Elijah do the full circuit?
Yeah, we'll be there all week.
You're doing the whole thing too?
Yeah, me, Terry, and Elijah are the three going from here. We'll be there Monday through Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay.
So yeah,
I tell you who I want to hear about is Florida, because I feel like, for one, they kind of just pop back up on the schedule. It's kind of like you're used to playing them every year.
Yep.
Then you don't a couple of years. Now they have a new coach. It's not really a guy, in my opinion, that South Carolina fans are particularly crazy familiar with. And, obviously, if you look at Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, traditional SEC East opponents and programs you're used to playing every year, where you probably most years have a decent feel for what those teams are all about, some of their personnel, some of their rosters, because you're playing them every year. So you kind of have that year-to-year progression if you're a fan of an opponent of theirs. Georgia, you probably have paid attention to just because they've still been in the national limelight.
Right.
But to me, Florida, because of all the changes in South Carolina not playing them, it's just a team right now that I don't have a lot of familiarity with, so I feel like fans are probably in that same boat. That's when I feel like going into the year, I'm going to need to catch up on, basically.
Yeah, and we've talked about the schedule ad nauseum already, and that's kind of the swing game for a lot of people. It's like that's the end of your first stretch of 6 games before you go into the bye week. Obviously, going down to the swamp at Florida is always tricky, and Carolina's had moderate success there and had some struggles as well. Last time you went was when you got beat 30-6 back in 2022, but you don't know what kind of team you're going to be going up against. We talked about this yesterday with quarterback experience, and you're going to be facing Aaron Philo, who very familiar with the Buster Faulkner system, coming over from Georgia Tech, but not a lot of starts in his college career. Or Tramel Jones, a pretty highly touted guy that got some run last year, but again, has never been a starter in the SEC up to this point. They do return one of the best running backs in college football in Jaden Baugh, so that's something you're going to have to account for. Former Gamecock target. They got some good additions at receiver like Eric Singleton, who also played for Buster Faulkner at Georgia Tech a couple years ago. And again, Faulkner is one of those guys that was being talked about to get a head coaching job in this offseason, decided to go to Florida, continue being an OC. So you could be dealing with a team that potentially scoring a ton of points. You're going to have to slow down. We'll see what their defense is going to be like. But that is maybe one of the biggest unknowns on the schedule this year is what you're going to get when you go down there in week 6.
Being at the swamp just alone is going to be tricky, right? It's going to be tough going out there, and we'll see what this offense looks like, right? But if South Carolina is humming offensively, like some would hope and expect under Kendall Briles by that point, then I think South Carolina has a good chance to go out there. But that could definitely be a huge momentum type of game, because you take that into the bye week. If you win, you get Tennessee at home after that. Hopefully you have a good record by that point. But if you lose that game, it's not the end of the world, depending on how things go before that. But you want to get off. You want to get off to a good start in those first 6 games of the year. And that trip to Florida, Alabama's a tough trip, but that trip to Gainesville is going to be right up there too.
For Florida, obviously John Summerall is going to be speaking as he takes over as head coach. Jaden Baugh, as I mentioned a moment ago, Miles Graham, one of their returning linebackers, and Vernell Brown, their leading receiver from a year ago, also going to be speaking. So we'll dive into plenty of what those guys have to say coming up next week. But we are but 51 days away from kickoff between South Carolina and Kent State. We'll tell you about the number 51 coming up next. It is the Extra Point. It's out at Jack Feltry, West Mitchell, Chris Clark. We're live at Midas at 1515 Gervais Street, ahead of today's autograph signing and meet and greet with a ton of Gamecocks. Tell you more about that as the show rolls along on your Thursday here on The Game. What was that?
I'm sure the viewers won't notice.
All right, welcome back in. Extra Point. We're live at Midas on Gervais Street, 1515 Gervais Street, hanging out today from 9 until noon. Again, getting you set for the meet and greet with a lot of Gamecocks today from 3:30 until 5:30. Again, you can meet Lenora Sellers and Nick Harbor and Jaden Sellers and so many more. So hopefully you'll get to come out today and hang out with some of those guys that just, again, get you a little bit more excited for the start of the college football season. And I cannot confirm or deny if Wes and Chris are going to be signing our autographs either. We'll see if we can work something out while we're here.
I hopped on. I felt like I'd be in the way for the first segment. So Wes has disappeared during the break, and Jack asked if he was signing autographs. I figured he's probably getting ahead of things. Like he's going ahead and pre-signing a bunch of stuff so that his line doesn't get too long later.
He's got a bunch of footballs that are just waiting out there for
sign photos, headshots.
Well,
yes.
you don't want to have your hand cramp up. So, when you're
it's smart.
And God knows how many autographs these guys are going to be signing later today. So you got to make sure you're in good shape to be able to write your name that many times.
And you got to be ready to smile a lot for. I'm sure
That's
there's
right.
going to be a lot of pictures.
Yeah, so smile so much your face is going to hurt. Again, 51 days until kickoff with South Carolina and Kent State as we continue our countdown. The number 51 brings us to 51 total tackles, which was the total tackle amount for TJ Sanders back in 2024. He is the only interior defensive lineman in the Beamer era to record 50-plus total tackles in a season. We obviously know what an important role that he played on that 2024 team. Obviously gave him the opportunity to go and play in the NFL now with Jack's Buffalo Bills. And again, we talked about it so much throughout that season of, Dylan Stewart and Kyle Kennard were getting most of the love because they're the ones coming off the edge and sacking the quarterback, Demetrius Knight, making plays in the middle. But like TJ Sanders was that consistent threat in the middle, not only getting after the passer, but also plugging the run gaps as well. And he had an incredible final season here at South Carolina.
Yeah, if you think back to, TJ's kind of coming out party was that year before when they went down to Georgia, got up early, ended up losing that game, but he was frankly unblockable in that game. And there were a lot of people around the league that were going, who is this guy? And, just an example of a player, like you look back on his recruiting process. He was in the 2021 class, which was Beamer's first class. He basically had, he had all these factors. You got about 2 weeks to build your class because of when you were hired in the early signing period. Kind of that carryover. You also had COVID, so you couldn't have guys on your campus. And so TJ had committed to the previous staff under Will Muschamp. Fortunately for South Carolina, stuck with things and was just this guy, just this big athlete who was a basketball player, football player. And it took some time to develop, but you always got the sense that, like, man, if this guy develops, he could be really, really good. And so he started coming along. And then 2024, the season you were talking about, Tyler, is when he really, really just took that next step. I think we can kind of bring this forward too, because, and Shane Beamer's made publicly this comparison of, when he's asked about the strengths of the team or how he feels about the defensive line, he brings up that defensive tackle group and says that it reminds him of 2024. He's even given some indications like we might even feel better about this group than 2024. And that kind of really grabs your attention because that group was really, really good. You think about that group, they went, legitimately 4 or 5 deep. You had Dylan Stewart as a freshman on one side, obviously had a really strong opening college campaign. You had Kyle Kennard on the other side, which everybody around here was excited to get Kyle Kennard out of the portal from Georgia Tech. Don't think that anybody thought he was going to end up winning the Nagurski, right? And so the thing with that group is it was kind of like the rising tide lifts all boats type of thing. Like they individually, they had a lot of really good players. The fact that Kennard had Stewart on the other side, the fact that Stewart had Kennard on the other side, the fact that you had, Sanders and Hemingway, like guys who were really good pass rushers, they all kind of elevated each other's play. And that's what you want in your defensive line. So now you look at this group, they've got Stewart back. Who's going to be the other edge? Maybe Caleb Herring. We'll see. He's created some buzz coming out of the spring. But then you look on the interior, and they've got a lot of talent and they've got a lot of experience coming back, whether it's guys that they brought back like Gabe Brownlow-Dendy, Troy Pikes, but also some guys that they brought in through the transfer portal. So it's a group that once again could go at least 4 deep. You got Noah Clark as a freshman, like
who's generating a lot of buzz.
Like might legitimately, even though that's kind of a crowded room, might prove too good to keep off the field in year one. So there's, when you look at the strengths of this team, it seems like the staff feels like that's the starting point. That might be the deepest room on the roster at defensive tackle. And I think that's going to help Stewart and Caleb Herring and the rest of the edges. And you look at kind of the the formula, that was kind of their strength in 2024 as well.
No, totally. I mean, it helped at the edge spot specifically. It totally helped Kyle and Dylan being able to feed off one another to where Dylan was out there creating a lot of pressure, which at times could take a little bit of the pressure off of Kennard, who was able to have a really good season with all the sacks that he had. But that also in turn allowed Dylan to get free and go make some plays out there. Last year, I felt like it was a little bit Dylan still got his at times, but it wasn't the same type of success he had as a freshman. And I think that's just because he's Dylan Stewart. He's the big name on this defensive line. Teams are going to go out there and target him. And that's still going to be the case this year. But you mentioned it, Chris. I mean, like, who's going to step up at that other edge spot? Is it Caleb Herring or is it one of these young guys? I feel like we could see a lot of young flavor on this defensive line because Noah Clark's the big name, obviously, to keep an eye on. But you also have, like, Anthony Addison, Julian Walker. I mean, depending on how they want to go about, like, rotating, because that was another thing in 24. They did a lot of rotating where guys would come in and out on that defensive line. Is that the same case again this year? And do you eventually get to the point where you have someone that can consistently be a threat on the other side at the edge position to take a little bit of the double teaming and whatnot, a little bit of the pressure off of Stewart to go out there and make plays?
Yeah, and getting back to the start of this conversation here, it's 51 days and 51 tackles is what TJ Sanders had in the season in 2024, which again is the most for an interior defensive lineman in a single year in the Beamer era. When we look at what we think is going to be a very loaded defensive line room, who has the capability of being that TJ Sanders type of guy that is going to be able to lead the way, not only getting after the passer when they can, but plugging up those run lanes and probably being one of the leading tacklers on this team too. I have a name that I think we're all probably going to say, but what do you think?
You're probably thinking about GBD.
Yes, if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, if he
that's
can
the big
healthy,
thing for him.
Well, and the thing about him is, you think about him like former 5-star, right?
Yeah.
Like Texas A&M, and it never got put together for him there. A, you're sitting behind some guys. B, still developing. C, some injury concerns, right? And we saw like a little bit of that at South Carolina last year. You saw a little bit of, banged up a little bit, but also you saw some spurts where you're like, that cat looks like the best guy on the field right now, right? So another guy, and I like Kelby Collins because he's versatile. He's got a little bit more of the TJ Sanders body type in that he, Kelby was recruited out of high school as an edge. He was ranked as an edge. He's not a 310-pound defensive tackle, but he's got that pass rush type of juice. And I really like Tomiwa. I think Tomiwa is a great – I don't know if he's going to be a big stat stuffer. Maybe won't be as strong as a pass rusher from a statistical standpoint, but I think he's a really, really good fit for what South Carolina does defensively. We've heard some really good returns from him this spring. He's another one of these film junkie type of guys. Really curious to see what we continue to hear on him. But I think right now, even in that crowded room, if you had to say a top two, I'm going Gabe Brownlow-Dendy and Tomiwa. I think those are kind of your – I think to your point, Jack, of rotating in 2024, I think you'll probably see a good bit of that this year too.
And if we're going to see a guy from those two get close to 51, well, it's going to take a big jump this year. They would have to have a really great year to get to that point because GBD, 18 tackles last year, Tomiwa, 16 at Illinois. So you're talking about, like, that's a third of the tackles that you would need to get to 51 at least. So I don't know if anyone will get to 51 because TJ had a really special year that season.
Right.
And he was already on pace to do it after the season he had in 23. That really, I think, catapulted him into having that 24 type of season. But I think it's possible. It just depends on, that defensive line was really good, but TJ like stood out amongst the group for sure. Is there going to be a guy that sticks out above everyone else? I think is how you get to that 51 or around that number.
We certainly hope one, if not multiple guys, step up on the defensive line to help set the tone for what should hopefully be another solid defense for the Gamecocks this upcoming season. We'll come back. We'll get into what's happening in ACC Media Days, including a bit of a convoluted tiebreaker for their football championship game. We'll dive into that coming up next. It is the Extra Point live at Midas on Gervais Street, 1515 Gervais Street, going up until noon here on The Game.
All right, at AAA Heating and Air, home comfort is their top priority. Give them a call today, 803-677-1500 to schedule a seasonal maintenance appointment. Let AAA Heating and Air's qualified technicians put your mind at ease with a thorough inspection and cleaning of your heating and cooling system. Join their popular AAA Comfort Club to take advantage of special extras such as flexible visits, added discounts, and priority scheduling. AAA also offers indoor air quality products that work with your HVAC system to improve your home's air quality. Cleaning the air eliminates common household odors, removes allergens, pollutants, and can even improve sleep and reduce the spread of some viruses. So go to call3aaatoday.com for more info. Again, that is call3aastoday.com for more info. Tell them Jack from 107.5 The Game sent you on over.
All right, welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head, Jack Beltry, Wes Mitchell, Chris Clark hanging out at Midas here on Gervais Street again ahead of the event later on this afternoon where you can meet and greet a lot of your favorite Gamecocks from 3:30 until 5:30. So again, looking forward to that, and we'll give you more information on that as the show does roll along. But guys, we're in the midst of media days for all the major conferences. Last week it was the Big 12, where we learned that they have an entitlement sponsor now that we have to refer to when talking about Big 12 football, men's and women's basketball. The ACC didn't do anything like that yesterday, at least not to my knowledge, though it's a conference that is feeling pretty good about itself. And if we can get cut number 2 right here, Jim Phillips, the commissioner of the ACC, in his opening statement yesterday, did talk about where he believes the ACC is sitting right now coming off the success of last football season.
2025 season was one of the strongest in our history. For the third straight year, the ACC produced at least 11 bowl-eligible teams, the longest streak in the country. We set conference records with 7 teams winning at least 9 games and 9 teams reaching 8 wins, which also led all leagues. And our 7 postseason victories against fellow Power 4 opponents were the most by any conference. With Miami's run to the national championship game last season, following Clemson and SMU earning CFP berths the year before, the ACC has firmly established itself in the national championship conversation.
You know, we talk so much about the SEC and the Big Ten being the kind of the breakaway conferences that are above what's happening in the ACC and above what's happening in the Big 12. But if you're the ACC and you watch Miami darn near win the national championship last year in a game that came all the way down to the wire, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. Yeah, is the entire conference deep from 1 to 17? Not necessarily, but hey, if you have a couple teams at the top like the Miamis that can go out there and win the entire thing, you're still feeling pretty good about yourself.
I don't think it's as top heavy as like the Big Ten feels sometimes, where you have the main powers in that conference, and then it's very just mediocre to bad towards as you get towards the middle and the bottom. The ACC, I feel like you have. I mean, look, there are a lot of teams that went 4-4 in the middle of the pack last year and got to a bowl game, like he said on that clip there. There were just a few teams that really weren't that good. And honestly, you look at some of these teams that maybe could be better. We'll see. I think the main thing is Miami's probably going to be good. Virginia, SMU, Tech, teams like that will probably be pretty good. My question is for the ACC, if they're going to have a good year, can Clemson be better, right? Because Clemson was pretty disappointing last year. Florida State, Mike Norvell is obviously going to be on a major hot seat coming into the season. Can FSU get back to being what they were a few years ago? How is Virginia Tech going to look under James Franklin? If those 3 teams have pretty good seasons, I think that's going to just propel the conference even further, because I think you expect the conference to be what it was last year. But if those 3 teams can be better, it helps everyone out.
I also think, though, let's not forget, yes, Miami went on this run to get to the title game.
Yep.
The ACC almost got completely locked out of the college football playoff. So Miami did not even play for the ACC championship last year.
Correct.
So, yes, it happened, and there's no revisionist history. However, they were very close to not even having the opportunity to even go on that run. So I think, like, I get why the ACC is going to lean into that, but from a big picture standpoint, I don't know necessarily. I feel like the ACC, that may be their situation most years, where they are in a fight to get a team or 2 into the college football playoff. And also, it sounds like there's not really going to be any agreement on who should even go to their championship game. So I wouldn't say the ACC has arrived because Miami snuck in and went on one, I don't want to say miracle run. Like they were playing as good as anybody in the country at that time. So credit to them for that. But like I said, even with a 12-team playoff, they almost didn't even get in the thing.
Yeah, and speaking of them not making the championship game last year, despite being the highest ranked team in the ACC, because of course Duke and Virginia played for it. Duke ends up winning, but obviously doesn't get in the college ball playoff. They updated their tiebreaker policy for determining which teams will make the ACC championship game, and it's broken up into 3 guiding principles. First is head-to-head results that will always matter the most. Second is no team will be overly rewarded or penalized based on the number of conference games it plays. Do you guys remember that not every team plays 9 conference games? There's going to be some teams only playing 8.
Okay. Y'all got to explain this to me like I'm 5. When you say, do you remember that? No, I don't think I knew that until I saw all the discussion on social media yesterday about their tiebreaker. Why? How can you? Is it because of pre-existing schedules? Is it like a slow roll into 9? Like how is that possible? Like, this is major college football. You're one of the top 4 conferences in the game. How can you not have all your teams playing the same number of games?
I believe.
So you don't know either.
Well, I believe I'm trying to remember. I think because again, the Notre Dame has the scheduling agreement with them where they play, I think, 5 ACC teams a year, despite not actually being part of the conference. I believe the teams that play Notre Dame only play 8 official ACC conference games. The other 12 teams in the conference will play 9. But again, you're not going to have even records because 5 teams are going to play 8 games, 12 teams are going to play 9. So this is going to set up for a bit of a mess, more likely than not, which brings us to point number 3. It says when head-to-head competition cannot separate tied teams, the team with the strongest overall body of work will earn the opportunity to compete for the ACC championship and the conference's automatic qualifier in the college football playoff. So essentially, this is saying if they got into a situation last year where, because it was a bunch of teams tied, I think, for Duke's spot.
Yeah.
And Miami was one of them, but by the way, the tiebreakers, Miami wasn't going to get in. This is basically saying that if we got in that same situation, the ACC could say Miami has a better body of work. They're ranked wherever in the college football playoff. We're going to put them in the ACC championship game because we feel like that's what's best for the conference. They basically gave themselves an opportunity to kind of do whatever they want if it gets to that kind of scenario again.
Can you blame them, honestly, though?
No, I don't, because the ACC championship was so weird last year.
It got to a point where there was a watch party for Duke to see if they would make the college football playoff, which with an 8-5 record, they definitely weren't going to get in. But still, I mean, it's crazy that it even got to that point where, I mean, chaos happened for Duke to get in to the ACC championship game, but it should never have gotten to that point. So I could see the ACC doing this just because of they don't ever want to have that scenario happen again where their best overall team wasn't even in the ACC championship game. And that's Miami's own fault because they had a few losses in ACC play, but this should prevent that moving forward now if it ever gets to that point.
Fun fact, Miami has still not won the ACC.
What, since it's been in the conference?
Yeah, they've been there for 20 years and have never won the ACC.
It's crazy.
It sounds like one of those things that's made up.
But we also have to remember, I mean, 20 years ago was what, 2006? So that was what, after Miami?
They still had some pretty good teams.
They still had some pretty good teams, but there were a lot of years that they weren't great.
But Miami coming to the ACC was considered like a pretty huge get for the conference.
Yeah, well, and because I think 2002 or 3 was the first year they joined the conference, and like the talk at the time was, well, it's going to be Miami and Florida State playing for the conference championship every single year, and that's literally never happened. Now, Florida State's had their own success, including winning a national championship in 2013, but yeah, Miami and last year's was obviously weird circumstances. Still has not played in the ACC championship game, though I have a strong feeling, especially with this criteria now, that could change this year.
It totally could change it. Miami's there's no probability. They are. If there's any team from the ACC that's going to go out here and make a run to the playoff and win the national championship, it's definitely Miami. It's just, what can you get out of the rest of the conference? Because there's some major players in that conference, team-wise, that if they're good, that elevates everyone else. Like the Clemsons, FSUs, Techs of the world. If those teams are good, that's going to help out a lot with that conference and what they're saying there.
You mentioned James Franklin of Virginia Tech. That was one of the most intriguing teams in the entire country to me because I think James Franklin is a good coach. Was he an elite coach? Not necessarily, but I think the situation at Virginia Tech, I think he can turn them into a contender pretty quickly. Maybe not necessarily in year number 1, but like I think that's a perfect situation for him, and I do expect Virginia Tech to be a solid, consistent program going forward with him now.
You look at the way the schedule shakes out. I think they can get through the first half of it in pretty good shape. Their toughest game, I would argue, is probably Cal or Pitt. And then after that, it's the back half. It's going to be pretty tricky. You got Tech, Clemson, SMU, Stanford they should win, at Miami, and then Virginia to close out the year. I could see Tech having a pretty good year, but I don't think I'll be surprised if they're in the ACC championship picture towards the end of the year. I think somewhere 8-9 wins would be a pretty good season, I think, for them.
Yeah, we'll certainly see. But again, ACC Media Day is going on right now, just up the road in Charlotte. We'll get some more insight into what was said today coming up on tomorrow's show. But we'll come back and wrap up the hour. A new rule change coming to college baseball, more likely than not. Yeah, it's the one that you're probably thinking of. We'll tell you about that coming up next. It is the Extra Point live at Midas at 1515 Gervais Street on your Thursday here on The Game. All right, welcome back in Extra Point. We are live at Midas 1515 Gervais Street. Again, later on today from 3:30 until 5:30, you can meet a ton of your favorite Gamecocks. Jaden Sellers, David Busey, Lenora Sellers, Nick Harper, Bakari Swain, Shed Sraj, Warren Howell, Carter Miller, Mike Tyler, and more are all going to be out here hanging out at Midas. Get some autographs, get some pictures, and get that much more excited for the start of college football season. So pretty cool event they're doing out here, and we're just kind of getting you warmed up for it today.
Yeah, I was saying earlier, you probably aren't going to get many more opportunities like this either because the season will be here. These guys will be focused on preseason camp here very, very soon. Will be kicking off. So a chance to come out, get some autographs, get some photos, selfies, all that stuff all at once. And, man, how many of those guys are going to play in the NFL? Like you look at that list, you know, both Sellers, Nick, Bakari for sure. Shed's got a shot, I think. You know, lots of guys on this list here that are going to be doing big things for the Gamecocks and then big things, I think, for their career as well. So it would be a good autograph to add to your collection.
It's a pretty good group, man. I mean, they have a lot, even some of the less bigger names, like Shed Surratt's going to be here. I mean, Carter Miller, like those are guys that should be impact guys in the offensive line. I mean, we'll see what Warren Howell could do this year. I mean, there's a lot of good names that are coming out here today.
And you will hear from Mike Tyler.
That's
We've
right.
got my interview with him queued up for later on, right?
That's right. For the Garnet Trust Hour coming up here in about 10 minutes, you'll hear Wes's interview with Mike Tyler, and we'll talk about the tight end room and all that as well. So, a lot of big names going to be out here, and certainly looking forward to that later on today from 3:30 until 5:30. We learned yesterday, switching gears to baseball real quick, the NCAA Rules Subcommittee has approved the usage of the automatic balls and strikes system to be used in any game where tech is available next season in college baseball. Now, this is still waiting for the Baseball Oversight Committee approval, but they're expected to approve it, and it can be implemented in 27. We obviously know, Jack, they used this at the SEC tournament a couple weeks ago. I didn't see any major issues with it. It seemed like it worked fine, much like it does in Major League Baseball, but we kind of knew at that point in time, hey, if they're going to try it, it's probably going to be a full-time rule coming up in 27.
Totally. Yeah, that was definitely an experiment run there. And by all accounts, it went really well. I can't remember. I think Missouri, I mean, when they beat, I'm trying to remember who it was because they were the 16 seed in that tournament for the first game. They upset the 9 in that, whoever they played. And part of the reason why is because the catcher kept getting the ABS, calls overturned and got them right. So that was a big part of it. And it's very cool to see that this is going to be implemented at the college level because guess what? When these guys turn pro, they're going to be using it at the minor league and MLB level eventually. So I think it's very interesting. I will say I don't believe, based on the reports that are out there, that it's something that is going to be used across the entire league. It's kind of like how replay works, where it's not like required to necessarily use, but most teams end up using it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that probably in every SEC game you're going to have that ability, but in the Atlantic Sun or something like that, those teams may not have the capability to be able to do that. But I imagine it'll also be, once you get into the NCAA tournament, be available everywhere as well. So yeah, the major conferences shouldn't have any problem with this. But and like I said, much like replay, when the opportunity is there, the technology is available, you have it at your disposal. And again, as we talked about with Major League Baseball, I think this has been a really good rule change that helps keep umpiring accountable. Right. And look, they're not going to get every call right. But if you got something that's borderline that you think was wrong, then you have the ability to change it. Right. And you're, as a team, have your certain number of challenges you can use, and you use the strategy of when you're going to use those throughout the game. And if you keep winning, you keep getting more. So yeah, I'm fine with it. Again, I think we all knew when it got tried out a few weeks back in Hoover that it was more likely coming, for next year. And it seems like we're on the track for that.
Yeah, I think it's very good. I think the SEC will definitely be using it every game. We'll see about the non-conference games and how that works. I think you're right. I don't think the small schools, here's the other thing. You have to have a video board with the Jumbotron or something to be able to show it. You got to see it and show it. So not every school has that. The SEC, they do, so that should be fine. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this out there. And like you said, it does hold umpires accountable to the point where in the MLB, I mean, a bunch of umpires are
retiring.
Like CB Buckner, this is it for him this year. So
something had to push him out.
Yeah. Well, weird how once you're kind of being held accountable a little bit more, that some of these guys are deciding to peace out. But yeah, I'm excited to see it in college baseball next year.
Yeah, it'll be great to see. And the game just continues to change, right? And it's another thing that I know during the leading up to the SEC tournament, like when we asked Monty Lee about it at the time when he was coaching at South Carolina, like they weren't focusing on it because they weren't using it in regular season games, and they were going to figure it out when they get to Hoover for the tournament. Now, moving forward, if the SEC is going to use it every game, well, teams are going to have to. It's going to be a part of the preparation now, and I'm sure there's going to be an adjustment period. Like I'll be interested in fall practice out there in a couple months. Like, do they practice tapping on the helmet and looking at the video board to run through a trial run of how ABS works for these guys? It's just another thing that you have to worry about for next season.
I think it's something that probably won't take too much getting used to.
Now, as the only ones that are going to be really using it anyway are the catchers, 9 times out of 10. The pitchers maybe occasionally.
Which we don't see a lot of in Major League Baseball.
And that's the thing. It's all players that have to do it. The coaches can't be the ones doing it.
Well, you have like 3 seconds to do it.
Yeah.
Anyway. So
they'll get a hand on it pretty quick.
So that's coming to college baseball more likely than not in 2027. Coming up next, Garden Trust Hour presented by Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. Wes is in interview with Mike Tyler to lead off the hour. It's coming up next here on your Thursday on the Game. All right, welcome back in. It is the Garnet Trust Hour presented by Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. And we're at 1515 Gervais Street at Midas ahead of today's big event where there's going to be a ton of Gamecock football players signing autographs, taking pictures, meeting fans in the build up to the college football season. One of those guys is tight end Mike Tyler. Again, you'll get the opportunity to meet him coming up later on today if you're going to come out to the event here at Midas on Gervais Street. Wes Mitchell sat down with him just the other day to talk about how things are going in his time here at South Carolina and looking ahead to the 2026 season.
All right, guys, welcome back into another episode of Garnet Trust here on The Game. Brought to you, as always, by our friends over at Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. As always, we got a special guest from South Carolina Athletics, and today it is South Carolina second-year tight end Mike Tyler, of course, from right here in Columbia. Went to Hammond School. Mike, first of all, man, how you been doing? We appreciate you taking the time today.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I've been doing good. We just got done with workouts for the week, so everything's good.
Awesome, man. So, like I said, you went to Hammond School. Very, very short trip for you from there to South Carolina, but your recruitment did kind of take some turns along the way. I know there were like several tight end coaches as well at South Carolina who were recruiting you for the Gamecocks. You were committed to LSU at one point. So if you can, man, let's kind of go back in time a little bit for the fans. Take us through your recruiting process. Take us kind of through how it went and ultimately why you ended up being a Gamecock, man.
Oh, yes, sir. So I think on my birthday, like I decided to commit to LSU because like the coaching issue was like still being resolved. I didn't know who was going to be the coach, and I felt really confident on my spot at LSU. And then later, like down the line, I just continued to pray about it, talk about it with my family, and I thought South Carolina. I always had a place for. I always thought South Carolina was going to be like the place for home for me. So once the coaching issue got resolved and we started making everything come to terms, like it started adding up and making sense. So, and then it just felt like a home when I came on visits. It was always like homey feeling.
So you ended up picking South Carolina. You signed with the Gamecocks. You get here last year as a day one player. And I'll be honest, man, like I feel like there was maybe some thought of the jump from Hammond to the SEC. I know people talk about that quite a bit, but you came right in. You were making a lot of special teams plays. You were on the field on special teams. You were kind of putting yourself in a position to make an impact right off the bat. What do you think you were able to do to kind of earn that trust of the coaches? Like, not every freshman, as we know, gets to go ahead and play in year one. So how do you think the first year went for you, and what were you able to do to kind of find your way onto the field?
Honestly, I thought the first year was great. I mean, I didn't play as much as I wanted to, like at the tight end position, but like looking back at it, I wasn't even ready, like mentally nor physically. Like those some real guys in the SEC. Like when you're an incoming freshman, you got to be ready, especially physically, but more importantly, mentally. But I feel like learning behind guys like Brady, Jordan Dingle, like they help teach me little things, and like it's a long 12-week season, so you got to keep your confidence up. You got to stay grounded. You got to stay rooted in your principles and what you believe. So I've seen the rocky roads of some of those guys and how they dealt with it, and they just kind of enhanced and told me different things I can learn from, and I think I'm ready now.
Yeah, what has this offseason been like for you, man? Kind of now that you've seen what that grind is like, you've seen what SEC ball is like. I've heard some buzz. You've put on some good weight, put on some strength, some muscle. What has maybe been your biggest focus this offseason, and how is it going for you so far?
I say consistency and routine. Like I got a routine basically almost every day. I'm at the facility getting catches in with Cutter, or I'm on the jugs, or I'm throwing with Norris, or I'm just doing something to get better. And especially like mentally, like my coach, Ben Burris, like he harps on me, like you got to stay in the playbook. You got to know your assignment. You got to know what to do, when to do it. Like, just you got to be ready when your name get called. So that's what I'm trying to prepare myself for this upcoming season.
So I know we were talking earlier about kind of the different tight end coaches when you were being recruited, but now, of course, Sean Elliott ends up taking over. Local guy, been a Gamecock for a long time. And, I mean, everybody has Sean Elliott stories, man, like the high energy nature, the physicality. What has it been like? I see you smiling. I see you laughing. What has it been like just on a day-to-day basis to learn from Coach Sean Elliott?
That's an amazing guy right there. Like, I can't even put it into words. Like, he's really a good coach. He's taught me a lot, especially in the run game. He makes it feel like it's not even like a job. Like, we're just out there having fun. Like, he takes the seriousness away. Like, we're like little kids out there playing again. It's fun having him as a coach.
Mike, you played, if I remember correctly, were you a receiver early on, like in your high school career? Okay.
Yes,
so take me through this, man. You're playing a position. I know a lot of tight ends. They want to be out there running routes. They want to catch the football. They want to make plays. And then you're in the room with a guy, Sean Elliott, who was a former O-line coach. I think he played D-line himself. Do you enjoy blocking now? Do you have to enjoy blocking if you're going to be playing with, under Coach Elliott? How has that aspect of it been?
Oh, I enjoy blocking. Like, that's what I like to do. But especially for Elliott, you gonna have to enjoy blocking. Like, it's not an option. So you really gonna have to learn how to, or unless you're not gonna play. Really, that's how I see it.
What you mentioned earlier, like some of the older guys you were with last year, Brady Dingle coming in from Kentucky as a transfer, who's been in a lot of SEC games himself. What did you maybe take away the most if you look back on what you learned from those guys, man?
Like I said earlier, I'll probably say just staying grounded and staying rooted in everything, like your principles, because like I said, it's a 12-week season. Like, it's ups and downs, it's lefts and rights. Like, things can go out of hand real quick. So it's like, I'll probably say staying grounded.
New offense coordinator, new offense, new approach. Without giving away anything you're not supposed to, what have you enjoyed most about kind of being in this scheme and some of the tempo aspects, some of the different things he wants to do with you guys in the tight end room?
I don't know if I can say too much on that, but I definitely like the tempo. That's one thing I'll say. I definitely mess with the tempo.
Okay, I got you. Man, let's again go back to your time at Hammond a little bit. That's a program that here in Columbia has put out lots of talented guys that have gone to play and play well in college. What did you most maybe learn from your experience at Hammond? How did you feel your game kind of grow within that program and within that offense there?
My game, oh my gosh, it really grew when I got to Hammond because our O-line coach, Jeff Barnes, who played here, he taught me everything I really know when it comes to blocking. And then my tight end coach, Tyler Renew, taught me everything when it comes to route running, receiving, and they have a good resume. Like, Coach Renew, I think he played for the Falcons for, if I'm not mistaken, for too long. He was one of the best backs to come through Citadel. So it's like I got people in my corner with great resources and great knowledge. So it's like I'm learning from the best.
Yeah, and resources there at South Carolina as well for you, Mike. We talked earlier about kind of gaining strength, gaining muscle. A lot of the guys we talked to on this show, they bring up Jimmy Rodriguez and the nutrition staff there in Columbia. What have those guys maybe meant to you in terms of your journey so far?
Jimmy's interesting. Jimmy, he gonna make sure you eat all the time. That's a non-negotiable, like he says. That's non-negotiable for sure. But I definitely think adding some weight when I got here, I was way too light. When I got here, I was almost like 230. I gained about 15 pounds, and it's good muscle weight. So yes, sir.
What does eating right look for? Like, what does that look like for an SEC athlete who is trying? I know you guys are so active. You have so many workouts anyway, just to not only gain weight, but even to keep your weight up. I got to imagine the amount of protein, the amount of overall calories. What does that look like for, an SEC student athlete?
For me, during the week, I try to stay away from fried foods unless they give it to us at the facility. Like, I try to stay away from like Bojangles or Chick-fil-A and stuff like that. Heavy burgers, heavy steaks, just really like protein, grilled chicken. My roommate will make grilled chicken here sometimes, some rice, just like little things that's not going to, I'll say, be too heavy on the body for the next day because we're right back to it next day. So it's like you got to eat the right things just to recover quickly.
Yeah, it's July 10th when we're recording this, so kind of getting to the midway point of July. You guys aren't quite into preseason camp in terms of that goes yet. But, Mike, what does a day in the life look like right now in terms of summer workouts and just you guys kind of being in this little period where you're almost at the point of preseason camp starting but not quite there yet?
So obviously, of course, we got workouts in the morning, and then like we'll probably break down some film here or there or go through like the install of plays and stuff like that. Coaches are in the building right now, so obviously we do player-led practices like routes on air, little stuff like that, and then really it's like you can come back on your own, get recovery, get some more work in if you want, if your body's able to, and that's really it for today.
Other than football, what is Mike Tyler doing this summer? Any hobbies? Anything you like to do just to kind of get your mind away from the game every now and then?
I'm trying to pick up on golfing. I went into my first lesson not too long ago. It's hard. It's real hard. But I might go to the range this weekend.
Is that a new thing among the team? I feel like I've heard more and more guys talk about picking up golf. Is that like, have y'all gotten the bug for this? Is that a trend right now?
I think so.
Is there a simulator now? Somebody said that.
Yeah, there's a simulator on Rosewood, and there's a simulator in I think near Forest Acres, and we have one in the facility too.
Okay, all right. So this is definitely a trend, man. When you guys were doing the events like among the team that were not football, like the basketball stuff, the wiffle ball, volleyball, all this different stuff, what was your best sport and why?
I would say basketball because I played basketball in high school, but I'm not gonna lie, I did not do good. So probably say we just won me and Brady just won beach volleyball with Coach Fury. I think I did the best in that. Not on my team, but like for me personally, I think that's the best thing I performed in. But we was supposed to have a college football tournament, and if we had that, I knew I would have won. So yes, sir.
Okay. How was Furry at volleyball?
He was cold. He was real good.
Okay.
It was cold.
All right.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Good to know. Good to know. Man, a lot of times we ask guys some just kind of off the field, get to know you type stuff. We asked you about hobbies. What about food? If if you don't have to adhere to the nutrition stuff there at the facility, what are you kind of eating if you could have any meal?
I'm not gonna lie. I love me a good steak. Burgers, steak and fries, burgers and fries. That's probably my go-to meals outside the facility.
Okay. You cook them
Yes,
yourself
sir.
or just somebody else is cooking them?
My roommate cooks them. He know how to cook a lot.
Mike, as we kind of close this thing out, man, a couple of months away from this thing kicking off, what is the excitement level like for you going into year 2? You know, what do you think it's going to take for you to kind of take that next step as a player? Like, what are you focused on once preseason camp gets started, man?
The most important thing is, like you said, preseason camp. Like it's a long, like just 18 days straight. Like so, I really think being more consistent and showing up more is probably going to be like on my plate that I need to do more. And just like I said, learning the playbook, knowing the plays, being that go-to guy that I could be for the QBs and just anyone in the offense or anyone on the team. And yes, sir.
Awesome, man. Hey, I almost forgot. What did you think of the Nike gear? I know everybody's been talking about that. How's the transition been in terms of that?
Nah, it's hard. Our workout clothes definitely hard. Yes, sir. We didn't get all the gear yet, but I'm sure it's gonna look good.
Awesome, Mike. Well, hey, I know you guys are still busy, even though it's summer. So we appreciate you taking the time, and we'll be looking forward
Yes,
to
sir.
seeing what you got this season. And we wish you
Yes,
all the
sir.
luck in the world. Okay, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, that is Mike Tyler, former Hammond standout, current South Carolina standout at tight end, joining us here on the Garnet Trust Hour on the Game, brought to you by our friends at Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing.
right, welcome back in. It is the Guardian Trust Hour presented by Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing here on your Thursday on the game. Real quick, shout out to the guy in the Krantz van that waved me over in traffic today on my way in. That split with 26 and 126.
Yeah.
I needed to get over because I didn't want to go towards the airport, and he just gives me that big old arm wave like, come on, man. So that's the kind of care and service you get from Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Even when they're not at your home.
Exactly.
helping you
I didn't have
get
any plumbing needs, but he was kind enough to let me over. So shout
It's a
out
good
to you.
sign. It's a good sign.
Very
He
good
had no
sign.
idea that you would be talking about him on the
Yeah,
radio.
I was
either,
like,
so.
that guy deserves a shout out later on today. So there you go. Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. You just heard Wes's conversation with Mike Tyler, tight end for South Carolina, who's going into another season here. The tight end room is one that's so interesting. And I think back to a couple years ago when obviously this team was having its most success in the Beamer era, and Lenore Sellers had his best season in 2024. He had a consistent guy at tight end in Josh Simon that ended up being the leading receiver on the team. And while we don't necessarily need that, we think this is a wide receiver core that is capable of having a couple guys that can lead the team in receiving yards. Having more of a consistent presence at tight end to help Lenore Sellers out, if nothing else, to be check downs in situations where he doesn't have a lot of time to throw would be really good. And again, this is a room that has a lot of talented guys in it. Brady Hunt's coming back for another year. We talked about Mike Tyler, Michael's, the guys like that. And I'm intrigued to see how much more the tight ends are going to be involved in the offense this upcoming year.
Well, I was intrigued to hear Mike Tyler say he loves blocking. You know, a lot of these tight end guys, just in general, they want to run routes. They want to catch the football. They want to have the ball thrown their way. And as we talked about, Mike was originally a wide receiver at Hammond. So growing up, he's out there playing on the edge, not really asked to get in there and be an inline blocker. And that was something he alluded to it a little bit. Wheeler at Hammond, Jeff Barnes at Hammond, those guys really, I think, especially going into Mike's senior year, tried to sort of push him into being more of a blocker, really challenged him, you would say, to be a more physical player and really helped him work on his skills as a blocker. And, you heard him. He said he enjoys it now, which I think that's a big part of it. Like, obviously, he's already put on some good weight. He's a big enough kid. A lot of blocking is about want to and willingness and all those things. And as he said, if you're going to be on the field for Sean Elliott, former O-line coach himself, then you better be able to play physical. And so very, very good sign there, I think, for Mike, because he's an athletic dude. He can catch the football. The blocking part was probably just the other aspect for him.
Now, the question is, can they have someone in that tight end room emerge as a potential complementary target for Lenore Sellers, like we saw 2 years ago in his first year as a starter with Josh Simon leading all pass catchers with the receiving yards he had as well as touchdowns. You look at the guys they have in the room, Brady Hunt, I would say, is probably the clear favorite. He's been here at South Carolina for a few years now. Back when he was at Ball State, had a ton of production with almost 500 yards and 5 touchdowns in 22. But since he's been at South Carolina, surprisingly enough, he hasn't caught a touchdown since he's been here. Had a few rushing touchdowns when I think they did the little Wildcat stuff last year near the goal line. But that's a guy that you look at, can he get back to being that level of production when he was at Ball State? Because the other guys in there is very unproven. Max Dragg, he only has 30 career receiving yards. Mike Tyler only had 1 catch last year. And then you have Mo Brown, who obviously we got to talk about as a potential option in that room too. But you look at Brady needing to be the guy this year, it would definitely help this offense go. Like, I think here's a few things. The offensive line's got to be better this year. You got to have someone at running back to help out Lenore's, because in 24, he had Rocket Sanders, a really good running back in there. And then you had Simon at tight end being his top target. If you have the running back and tight end situation figured out for Lenore's this year, I feel like that makes this offense really go.
Well, and of course, everything new with this offense in terms of Kendall Browse taking over. And looking back at his time at TCU, he did feature tight ends pretty heavily. Going back to 2000, this past year in 2025, had a guy in DJ Rogers, 34 receptions, 319 yards, and a couple touchdowns. And then back in 2023, Jared Wiley, 47 receptions, which led the team in total receptions, 520 yards, which was third best on the team, and 8 touchdowns. So we know Kendall Browse is not afraid to get tight ends involved in his offense. But like you said, who out of that group emerges? I think we'd all kind of lean towards Brady Hunt because he's the most proven guy in his college career so far, and obviously had a couple catches a season ago. But there's no doubt that this tight end room should be featured more than they were a season ago in the Shula offense.
Now, let me ask you this, Wes, since you talked to Mike the other day. What about him do you feel like makes him a potential threat to be a guy like that they need for the tight end room in this offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, just the buzz we've heard about him is that he's taken a big step forward, which, I think the fact that he played as much as he did last year, albeit on special teams, coming out of Hammond, like bumping from Skeeza ball to SEC, like, and I don't say that derogatory, but any guy making that jump up is going to have like a sort of transition period. And, not every guy can go ahead and just come in and do that in year one, but Mike did. Also, from what we've heard, has made major strides in the weight room, has gained some good weight, gotten stronger, and just the willingness to block too. Like, I think here's the way I look at it every year, regardless of position. If a guy has played a lot, played a decent amount, you start with that person. So that's Brady Hunt. Percentage wise, he's probably the first guy out there. Beamer bragged about him in the Jimmy Francis interview, talking about, this is someone I feel like people aren't talking about enough. So I think it starts with Brady. However, you're always looking for who's that young guy that just has not quite emerged yet, but is about to break through. And, I feel like a lot of times too, if a guy breaks through, we always kind of forget, oh, this past offseason, we weren't really talking about that guy as much, and now he's a household name. So you're always looking for who's got the ability, who's got the talent, who's got the drive to break through into being a household name. So I think Mike is a guy they are pretty excited about. I would even go as far as to say, if you look back at a guy in Mike Smith, who I think a lot of us were going, man, they really could have stood to keep that guy because of the talent level. I think internally, having Mike Tyler coming back was someone where they're like, well, we actually feel pretty good about this room, even though he hasn't done it yet at that position against opponents yet. When they're watching him in-house, with all the additional information the coaches have, they felt good about it.
Well, him saying that he enjoys blocking probably brings a smile to Sean Elliott's face because that's kind of tight ends that he likes to have. And obviously, with how we think this offense is going to operate, that is going to be a very important role for all those guys, no matter who's out there on the field. And again, here's hoping this tight end room can be solid, right? Because again, you feel like you got a good group of receivers, so you're not asking somebody to go out there and be Josh Simon and lead the team in receptions, but like we talked about, having that consistent guy there, again, if nothing else, for check downs and situations where you need a couple yards, would prove very beneficial for this offense.
Totally. And again, the blocking, like Wes was saying earlier with Sean Elliott, I mean, that's such an important part of what you have to do. So yeah, even if you aren't getting the ball at tight end, the blocking matters almost equally as much as I would say the receiving end of it things do. Yeah.
So again, that was a conversation with Mike Tyler. And again, we'll find out what these tight ends look like starting in 51 days when Carolina takes on Kent State. We're monitoring things up at the University of Michigan. Does Ward Manuel still have a job? We'll tell you about it coming up next. It is the Garnet Trust Hour presented by Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing here on your Thursday on The Game. When in the break is this read?
All right, everybody, let's tell you about our friends over at Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. Now, those of you that have listened to the show know that Krantz is the presenting sponsor of the Garnet Trust Hour, which you're listening to. You know that since 1983, they've been providing HVAC services to Midlands residents and businesses, but they've also added plumbing to their line of business. Same great service now for all of your business or residential plumbing needs. And they helped me the other night. Came back from a couple days out of town. Oh, you got a leak. Not a great thing to discover at night. So I hit up Krantz. They were able to come out the same night, help me get everything squared away. They can do the same for you. 803-672-3224 or KrantzCooling.com. That's Krantz, cooling with a K. KrantzCooling.com. Justin Krantz, shout out to their general manager there. HVAC, plumbing with great service since 1983. Family-owned operation. That's KrantzCooling.com. Give them a call today for all your plumbing and HVAC needs.
All right, welcome back in. Garnet Trust Hour presented by Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. On your Thursday here on the game, we're live at Midas 1515 Gervais Street. Again, ton of Gamecocks going to be out here later on today from 3:30 until 5:30, signing autographs, taking pictures, meeting you, the fans, getting you that much more excited for the upcoming college football season. As Wes mentioned, really kind of the last opportunity you'll get for something like this before the season gets here, because media days next week, and then we're off into preseason camp coming up at the beginning of August. So get out here if you can and meet quite literally just about all the notable names that you would want to meet on this team, as again, Sellers, Harbor, and so many more going to be out here from 3:30 until 5:30.
I heard Jack Veltri may make an appearance too.
Jack Veltri may also be making an
You
appearance.
may bump into him, taking some pictures.
You know what? I'm
interviewing Lenore's.
I'm going to put a request out there. If you see Jack, ask for his autograph as well.
Yes.
And I will ask Jack tomorrow how many autographs he signs.
I'll even bring a Sharpie with me.
Okay.
So.
Do you have like headshots where you could like give them out to people?
Yeah. Let me get those printed out real quick.
If you see Jack today, ask for his autograph too, please.
God. Yeah.
We'll follow up on that tomorrow.
Also, you're gonna get this booklet here, voucher for free oil change, like literally hundreds of dollars worth of discounts as well. So that I mean, it's cool to meet these guys. I was more interested too in free oil change. So
that is a bonus perk to coming out here and meeting these guys,
perk.
is saving yourself some money on oil changes and stuff like that too.
No doubt. 1515 Gervais Street, which is where we're sitting right now.
Yes,
well, Tyler.
we're sitting in this is where they're going to be signing, in this room, correct? Yeah, we're in the room. They're going to be doing all the signings later today, so we're getting it warmed up for them. That's how I've been phrasing it all morning long.
No doubt. Looking forward to it.
So again, 3:30 to 5:30 today at the Midas on Gervais Street. Been monitoring this as the morning went along. Of course, a lot of news this week coming out of the University of Michigan, and the thought that Ward Manuel, the athletic director, could be relieved of his duties as investigations have uncovered the fact that he maybe knew about the Sharon affair well before he admitted to it. When everything happened last December, Sharon Moore got arrested and was promptly fired by the University of Michigan. But per Sam Jane of Michigan Live, who's been reporting on the Board of Regents this morning, seems like they got through the meeting and he's in the clear. He was not discussed at all. The investigation was also not discussed at all. So for the time being, it seems like Ward Manuel still is the athletic director at the University of Michigan.
Yeah, so what you just mentioned there was Sam, who was reporting on this. He asked Michigan's president after the meeting if he still believed if Ward Manuel is the best AD in the country, which is what the president called him a couple of months ago. And Domenico Grasso, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he said Ward is one of the best athletic directors in the country. So I guess that means he's still the AD at Michigan
for the time being, at least. Yeah,
for now, things can always change.
Could something else happen? Sure, because we also learned again 2 days ago that there was more that he was aware of than he let on when Sharon Moore got fired. But going back to our conversation yesterday, we talked about it. The saying is winning cures everything, and if you're winning at a high level, then they'll look the other way on a lot of stuff. And Michigan is the only athletic department to have a men's basketball and football national championship in the past 4 years. And really, I think Florida back in the 2000s was the last time that happened in general anyway. So you have an athletic department that's doing really well in the two major sports that obviously bring in the most money. Again, when you have controversy, though, that always brings up the question, but we could be in a situation of saying, hey, we're having success, we're doing well, we don't want to upset anything right here. Maybe that's part of the reason why Ward Manuel, for now at least, still has his job.
And apparently with the meeting they had today, nothing was discussed about the athletic department with everything going on with Ward and all the other athletic department affairs. Nothing going on. Nothing discussed from that end.
Does that not feel like the elephant in the room, though? If we're all aware, but we're not going to talk about it.
It feels like the reason they would have the meeting to begin with. But yeah, a little surprised that nothing was discussed on that end.
Well, so are they reporting nothing was discussed, like from listening to the public part of the meeting, or
this guy
reporting?
This guy was in the meeting.
But they also typically, if it's like South Carolina, you have executive session where you kick the media out, basically. So I don't know. And why was this a thing? Like, what wasn't it reported earlier this week that they were going to be discussing this very thing in this meeting?
That was the original thought, but as the past day or so, apparently not.
Well, once that got all the attention, did the reporting affect the outcome? Not his outcome in terms of if he's going to remain the AD, but you know what I'm saying? Like, potentially, did they say, "Hey, this is getting so much attention, we're not going to go in there and discuss him in a public setting."
Yeah.
In a media setting.
I don't know.
So I have the agenda pulled up here from like what the Board of Regents at Michigan was talking about today, because it was at 8:30 this morning. You have your call to order, you have your agenda with a ton of different items. Looks like 9 different items on here. Nothing having to do with the athletics department at all. So yeah, it looks like per their agenda here, nothing as far as Ward Manual or the athletics department goes.
See, I heard some other national media people talking about this the other day, that it seems like if you went ahead and did this week, moved on from him, that would save Kyle Whittingham, who's going into his first year as Michigan's head coach, from having to be asked about this at media days coming up in a couple weeks, where now, I'm assuming if you don't make a move between now and then, that's going to be a big point of conversation when, obviously they want to focus on the football and stuff at hand there. But so kind of a bit of a curveball this week in terms of where we thought that was going compared to where it is as of right now. But yeah, again, Michigan's been one of the most successful programs in all of college sports these past couple of years, and maybe that's enough to keep the train rolling there, at least for the time being.
Yeah, I don't know about y'all, but to me, it wasn't really a revelation either that, he might have caught wind of some of this stuff prior. Like, well, he's the athletics director. Like, of course, like you may not know in terms of like the journalism thing of, something is like, not do you think
yeah,
do you know? You know what I'm saying? So maybe he was in a situation of trying to prove things or trying to figure out what was going on. But the fact that he had caught wind of things prior, like, that's not shocking or surprising at all. He's the freaking athletic director. Of course, he's going to hear things about his head coach, allegedly. You know what I'm saying? Like, now how you handle things from there, like, let's be honest, this is major college athletics. Stuff has been getting swept under the rug for decades, right? So I will say it does not feel like this story is completely done just because they did not discuss him today.
Yeah, there's probably more to this. Again, we thought at the beginning of the week that the decision was going to be made today. They can't always call another meeting next week or something.
It's going to have to be discussed at some point, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's not, again, the most recent thing was obviously what happened with Sharon Moore. But as we talked about yesterday, Jack, there's just been this long line of controversy. You had the sign stealing stuff. You had the cheeseburger gate thing with Jim Harbaugh with the recruiting violations. You had the football staffer with the inappropriate stuff in his computer. It's been a lot of things, and this was just kind of the most recent example of that unfortunately, when you're the athletic director, that all falls to you because it's happening under your watch.
And I mean, he's going on his 10th year there. Man, it is a long time, but that's a lot of different stuff to happen in a relatively short period of time. So yeah, it seems like it's a mess out there, but yet they continue. I think things would be different if Michigan weren't doing well in football and basketball and winning national championships. If this were maybe 10 years earlier, maybe things are different.
Yeah, I agree 100%, dude. Like, even if it was just a middling situation where it was like, well, yeah, he's okay, he's a decent AD. Okay, dude. It's like anything, though. We see this with star athletes. How you might pretend everybody gets treated the same, but you're going to be treated differently based on is the drama worth the output? Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if Jack is hitting 50 home runs a year, we're going to put up with things that we would not put up with, if he was out there making a bunch of errors and, not producing. Like, that's just how. Unfortunately, that's how sports works.
Winning cures everything. And again, for the time being, Ward Manuel still has job as athletic director at the University of Michigan. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 2. What are our favorite autographs that we've ever gotten in our lifetimes? We'll discuss that coming up next. It is the Garnet Trust Hour presented by Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing on your Thursday, live at Midas on Gervais Street here on the game. All right, welcome back in. Garnet Trust Hour presented by Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing, live at Midas at 1515 Gervais Street, ahead of today's event from 3:30 until 5:30, where a ton of Gamecocks going to be out here signing autographs, taking pictures, and meeting you, the fans. Again, Jaden Sellers, David Busey, Lenore Sellers, Nick Harbor, Vakari Swain, Shed Surratt, Warren Howe, Carter Miller, Mike Tyler, and more. So be sure to get out here if you can and come by and meet those guys and, get yourself that much more excited for the college football season. Given that this is an autograph event, it begs the question in my mind, you guys autograph guys at all?
I have autographs.
You have some? Wes, what about you?
I mean, I have some. I'm actually not a chase down autographs.
Okay.
Yeah, but I feel like, man, if you get into sports media, like it's such a like not professional type thing. So
Yeah.
I don't. That's never.
Well,
I had baseball cards growing up, but never been a like stand in line.
Yeah. Well, and in the jobs that we do now, autographs, not typically things that we're going for, but like I'm sure we got some when we were kids and stuff like that. Is there any that kind of stand out as like the best in your collection?
Well, a couple months ago when we were at Pro Swing, remember the guy gave.
That's right.
Gave you.
Our guy Russ.
Yeah, Russ. Yeah, he handed me a signed baseball by Bobby Richardson, which is pretty cool. 1960 World Series MVP, and of course he coached here at South Carolina for a handful of years. So that one probably is the coolest one. Back in my teens, I lived in Fort Mill, so the Charlotte Knights are right up the road. So my brother and we'd go to Knights games all the time. And I remember, I think the Blue Jays AAA team was in town, and this was when Vlad Jr. was a prospect in AAA. So we got his autograph. I'm trying to remember what other ones. That was the main one, though, that probably still holds some value now.
Yeah, I think it's, to me, like when you're younger like that, it holds a little bit more value. Like it's a like I know I had like a David Justice baseball, but that was more like it was a gift, which was cool. But also I think actually like getting a signature. So I remember going when I was trying to think, man, do the math. When I was like 9 or 10 years old, I was a huge Carolina Panthers fan. And so they would do events kind of like the one that's going to be here later on. And it must have been half of the Panthers starters were at some restaurant and they had everybody lined up. And I like met Kerry Collins, who was the quarterback at the time, met some other guys, like I said, 9 or 10 years old. Like that was very, very cool.
Sure. What year would this have been?
It would have been like 95, 96. 97, somewhere along those lines.
Yeah.
And met John Casey, who was the kicker, was like one of the original Panther. He was the longest tenured original Panther, I think. So yeah, that was cool because it was like I met like all the dudes. But it was kind of like you're sitting there, you're a kid, you're like looking up at these giants, and then they're like, sign, all right, kid.
Yeah.
Good luck. And they just kind of keep you moving. But it was still very, very cool.
I met Tom Glavine when I was like 5.
Wow.
Because he had his own barbecue sauce at one point in time. And he was doing like a statewide tour at grocery stores
cool.
like that were selling the sauce or whatever. And this is like a cold day in January. And he wanted to be anywhere else but there. Because what I remember of it, Tom Glavine was not like very pleasant that day. Like he wasn't like mean or anything like that, but he just had this look on his face of like, I want to be anywhere but here. Still cool to meet him. And again, we were waiting outside in the cold and all that kind of stuff, but it was still cool that I have a Tom Glavine autograph. But yeah, he wasn't the warmest person in the world that day.
Now, what did you get signed? Did you get
just a hat?
Okay. I was going to say, did you get the barbecue bottle?
No.
That actually would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, I got, and it's probably in the attic at my parents' house somewhere. I got to dig it out and put it on my shelf at some point. But my dad was there with me, and apparently, because again the sauce was being sold in the store, apparently they took him around for a tour of the store, I guess. Which this was at a Winn-Dixie, for those that remember Winn-Dixie back in the day. And my dad said all the people outside were joking, like, yeah, I'm sure Tom Glavine's real impressed with the inside of that Winn-Dixie. Yeah, like, I don't know. I guess they wanted to show him where the barbecue sauce was or whatever. But yeah, that's probably my best autograph. And I distinctly can remember the mean look on Tom Glavine's face as he was signing it, because he just apparently didn't want to be there that day.
How long ago was that?
Oh, God, I would have been 5. So like 2001, 2002. He was coming off a Cy Young. So one of those years the next year.
Hey, just a reminder, though, for any of these guys, that has stuck with Tyler to this day.
Yes, so make a good
That-
impression.
Yeah.
That Tom Glavine did not have a smile on his face when he signed Tyler's hat.
I'm sure these guys. I mean,
Yeah.
it's 2 hours, so I mean, we'll see how they are by 5:30. But I'm sure. I mean, they're going to be excited. To be
Well,
here.
especially when you're a kid, when you get an autograph, like that's an important moment
Oh, yeah.
in your life of meeting a hero or whatever. And like you're gonna remember however they act and however they treat you. So yeah, treat these fans right, man.
For sure.
All right, 2 hours down, 1 more hour to go. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs. Coming next, we'll tell you more about the event today and Midas as a whole. Coming up next here on the game. All right, welcome back in. Hour number 3 is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West and Chris been hanging out all morning long here at Midas at 1515 Gervais Street ahead of today's event from 3:30 until 5:30, where you can come out and meet a ton of Gamecock football players ahead of the 2026 college football season. And Wes, we've been hyping this event up all day, and we got a couple people here with us in Matt Dooley and Gus Hurlong from Midas and Palmetto Garage Works that are going to give us a little bit more insight into what's happening today and everything happening here as well.
Yeah, guys. First of all, I want to thank you for having us, letting us be involved in the event you have going on later today. And I've been telling people, too, I love this building. Like, when you drive by, it's a beautiful facility inside and out. Y'all have been great hosts. And hopefully our listeners, if they haven't been here yet, they're going to come by and check out what you have going on, let you take care of their car care needs. Y'all got some great vouchers, coupons as well. And Gus, I want to start with you. And let's dive a little bit into the fact that even though they have the Midas name backing them, Palmetto Garage Works is the locally owned company, multiple locations throughout the Midlands and beyond in the state of South Carolina. So if I'm a listener right now and I need to take care of my car care needs right now, what type of customer service are you guys all about?
Yeah. So, first off, thank you for having us on. Thank you for being here. We're very proud of what we've established. Back in 2008 is when my father and I started Palmetto Garage Works. It's the family company that is the franchisee of these Midas stores. And we like to harp on that because it's not only an internal culture within our operations, but it's what we like to, be loud about. We are a family company. And so we are next to each of our people in the stores. We're in the communities. We're investing in the communities, and so that's how we like to drive this this family operation. And Matt's a great example of what that is. I mean, you mentioned these two buildings. This is a pretty large vision for us in the heart of COVID to invest in two abandoned buildings here in the city we live in. 1.3 miles away is where our office was, which still resides the Millwood Avenue Midas location that we're at. So this took some vision with some guts to go through that COVID time, and you had no idea what the future would hold. But we invested in these facilities. We built out this office for our staff to move from that little house on Millwood down here and expand. We did have that vision to continue expanding, and so the customers that were that are the clients that come to us, the loaner cars, the reinvesting in the community, the give back. We're not going to be the fastest. We're not going to be the cheapest, and we're going to be loud about that. We're going after that best in class customer service and investing in teammates like Matt to lead that charge at the front counter at all of our stores, in particular Gervais Street here. Is what we continue to invest in going forward.
And Matt, I drive by this every single day going to our building just down the street here. And the garage is always full. You guys always got cars in here. So it seems like you've got a great rapport with the community that you guys do a lot of work here.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for recognizing that. Have a really talented team come to work. They show up every single day, give 110%, and really deliver a world-class exceptional service for every single customer. The Hurlong family expects us to treat all customers like family, and we really strive to deliver on that every single day.
We actually have multiple people on our live stream chat that are giving you a shout out for taking care of them and their car needs. So you've got a good reputation around here.
Really appreciate that. We love our customers, and I deeply appreciate that.
Yeah, that's a great sign because they're not involved in this at all. That's random folks who happen to be on our stream there. So pretty awesome. Thanks, shout out to Matt over here. You didn't set that up,
no,
right?
Sir.
Okay. All right. But you did set it up for me to come by and do what hopefully our listeners are going to be doing in the future.
That's right.
They can come by, meet with you. You're going to be running this location. And one thing I liked talking to Matt over there is, let's be honest, nobody wakes up and is like, man, I get to go get my oil change today. I'm super pumped, super excited. But what you guys did for me and what you do for other customers is to make sure it is as seamless of a process as possible.
That's right.
The complimentary access to other vehicles, Uber rides, or the what I love, the cruiser out here.
Yes.
Like Tyler said, our station's right down the road. So hopped on the cruiser, got to work, can come back. And also you're delivering me text updates on
That's right.
what you've found. Are there any other issues on the vehicle?
Right.
Just keeping your customer updated throughout the process.
Absolutely.
And I imagine that's just kind of part of what Gus was talking about, the overall customer satisfaction just aspect of this, keeping that communication going.
Absolutely.
And that's a key component that we like to and sort of jump in, but that's a key component that we want to make. I mean, when we look at the clients in the community going forward, too often these big chains are going to look from their end out. If we look from the customer back, what means the most important to them? Their convenience.
Right.
So we make the investment in the courtesy vehicles for you to use, or the cruiser to get back to work, or the digital vehicle inspection that you referred to, where you can get text messages. You're clearly not going to take a phone call right now on this radio show, but you could check a quick text message to see if your car's ready. So we're looking at the customer and delivering our operations and coaching and training to try and maximize that best experience.
Now, do you guys service all makes, models? Is there a certain, like, depending on what I'm driving, can I maybe come by, or I can't come by, or whatever
All
I'm
makes and
driving?
models,
Okay.
Yes, sir. Definitely a dealer alternative, and a really good one at that. We provide, just at my location alone here, we have 10 loaner vehicles and the little courtesy cruiser out front. So we really try to make it as easy and convenient as possible for our customers. And sometimes it's not fun, let's face it, to service an automobile. But I think we do a really good job of delivering that exceptional experience.
Again, Matt Dooley and Gus Herlong joining us here on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. So this event later on today, again, from 3:30 until about 5:30, ton of Gamecocks going to be out here signing autographs, taking pictures, and meeting fans. I know that Sellers has had a relationship with y'all for a while now. How did this whole event come together, and how did this come to be for today?
So to make a long story short, I mean, when we take our local marketing budget outside of what national is going to do, I try to bucket it in 3 categories. What I'm going to spend locally in my communities, there's going to be some bucket of branding. We have another bucket of calls marketing, the give back, the reinvestment community, food drives, blood drives, and then we have the influencer bucket. So, and a lot of times those will intermingle. So like when we have a blood drive, and or like Lennar Sellers in particular, he came to our Project Spark giveaway, where we give away some of our company vehicles every November. And so that's kind of both buckets mixing. So when we were sitting down and mapping out the 2026, we knew we were going to have that influencer program with the sports marketing and NIL. And so we just kind of, laid it out there. Why don't we do a big event with you guys? You can come visit our community, bring some of your friends. So our 4 main partners that we went with at the University of South Carolina, them plus 6 others, 6 other teammates are going to join. So it was kind of a fun event. It's new for us. I mean, this continues to evolve and create buzz and just show that we are different. We're not the same old box chain. We're that family that's not only going to be involved in the community, involved in the local schools. And so we're excited to see how our entire team's going to pull this together, get you guys here. So it's been a lot of fun.
Gus, as a business owner, how does it feel to give away a car? Like, I feel like that's kind of I don't know, man. Like that's probably kind of a special feeling just to be involved in that. And can you expound a little bit more on just what goes behind all that?
Yeah. So we have near 100 vehicles in our company, and that grows every year, whether it be courtesy vehicles that Matt alluded to at his store, or we actually provide a lot of vehicles for our teammates to use as their permanent drivers. But those need to be updated. Every few years every year we're buying more vehicles. But and what we could do is take the vehicles we're retiring and trade them in against that, or sell them. $5,000, $10,000 a piece typically for a vehicle that's going to. Instead, what we decided to do about 4 or 5 years ago is let's invest $3,000 to $5,000 in each of these vehicles, and then make certified pre-owned them per se, and then put them in the hands of somebody that is in need of a vehicle.
Right.
And so to answer your question, what does it feel like? I wish I had a clear answer, but every single recipient has a different story, and every single year seems to be a little bit different. And some are very heartstrings, some are very exciting, and so it's really cool. So, I mean, we've given away 16 of our vehicles in the last 4 years. We might not get to 20 this year, but it'll be close. We'll probably have 3 or 4 more this year that we'll give away. Awesome. But it's that reinvestment, and it's right there around the holidays, that reinvestment in community, showing people, like, when you choose our family operation, this is what we can do, and this is what we will continue to do and expand upon.
Yeah, and I think man, if you don't have solid transportation, it's hard to work. It's hard to provide for your family. So just an awesome feeling, I'm sure. And then this past year, wasn't Lenoris able to like be involved in
Lenoris
handing the keys over? Or
Yeah,
something?
he was. He came to our event. Usually it's around Thanksgiving, Christmas, because we think it's important that at the time they need it most is going to see family. They're off work, going to travel, see kids are home or whatever, and having that transportation. So we really target that November timeframe to be able to deliver these vehicles to these recipients. But it was really cool, especially you're right there around that Clemson Carolina game. He was as busy as possible. He still made it a point to show up.
Awesome.
So him showing up, when you get the attention of a local celebrity like that, you obviously know you're getting attention of others. And so that's not the point of it, but I want everybody to realize that it doesn't just stop at us. Anybody can make those same investments in the community. We just use our family operation as a platform to be able to, accelerate that.
And again, you get the opportunity to meet Sellers and a lot of his teammates later on today. And as Wes has been showing us this morning, got a little booklet over there with a lot of great deals that people can check out as well when they're out here getting those autographs and pictures.
Yeah, and we're giving away a free set of tires too. Is that right?
That's right.
Are we? Okay, good.
Yes,
Tire voucher.
you are now.
Right?
You are now.
You're aware of it.
But yeah, also, I mean, there's $100 worth of just value in this as well.
Absolutely.
So a huge opportunity for someone to get started with your company and enjoy the perks we've all talked about,
That's
and
right.
then hopefully they'll be a customer for life, Matt.
Absolutely.
Yeah, these these like we alluded to earlier. I mean, we've got stores all across the state of South Carolina. The largest market is here in Columbia, so we have a lot of whether you're another one of our locations is closer to home, closer to work, or en route to work. We can all of them are our family part of our family operation. Matt is obviously here in the heart at the Gervais Street store, so these offers can go towards any of those locations, no matter where you live or where you work. But yeah, you've got several $100s in there. Oil, and for instance, is what most people need most often, and the cost of oil has gone through the roof because of things going on overseas. But I think one of those offers is a free oil change.
Yes.
So I mean, trying to help clients to at least give us a chance, come see what we're about. We will deliver that experience that Matt was explaining. And then hopefully we can show you that best customer experience can be found at our family operation at the Midas locations.
Well, hopefully a lot of people can be coming out to the event today, not only to meet the players, but also get in the door with you guys if they've not already. Gus, Matt, thank you so much for hanging out with us for a few minutes, and can't wait to see the turnout later today.
Absolutely.
Thank you all.
Thanks so much.
It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Get at Midas on Gervais Street, getting you set for the big event later on today. We'll get into our 51 Days trivia coming up next as the hour rolls along here on the game. Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, West, and Chris live at Midas here on Gervais Street. Again, appreciate Gus and Matt joining us there in that last segment ahead of today's big event from 3:30 until 5:30, where you can come out, meet a bunch of Gamecocks, get autographs, get pictures, and get that nice coupon book as well to get some service done on your vehicle out here at the Midas on Gervais Street. We got Jake Crane coming up in about 10 or so minutes from the Crane and Cone podcast. But, guys, we are 51 days away from kickoff. It's time for our 51 days trivia question. It is an Oris Lambert question, as you guys suggested yesterday. So hopefully you've studied up on Oris Lambert.
I really didn't think you were going to go that direction, man.
Well, you brought him up yesterday.
Yeah,
Guys
but
naming
typically
dudes.
if we bring him up, he does not.
Well,
Yeah, he's like, they're on to me.
I take your suggestions, and
Oh, my
sometimes I
God.
can't find a good enough question based on the person. But
I have no shot.
For Oris Lambert, I did.
I have no shot.
Quick guys naming dudes.
Sure, go for it. 51s.
Corey Helms.
Oh, man. How did I forget Corey?
Yeah.
Head coach in the
Mhm.
area now.
Mhm.
Corey's at Chapin?
I think that's right.
All right. You got another?
Tree Babalade.
Big tree.
Big tree.
He,
Big Nebraska.
Not
yeah, I was
sure.
going to say,
Not
he
sure if he's
followed
51 at Nebraska.
Lonnie to
Yeah.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got for now.
Okay.
Corey Helms was my
Yeah. Okay.
pull.
Well, the question today,
I'm not feeling good about this, guys. Did you do your Oris Lambert
Very light, very light.
research?
I'm not too excited about this.
all
I
right.
think he's gonna have a obscure like interception
Mhm.
or fumble recovery or something
There'll be something.
that Tyler's gonna ask us about. And I feel like it happened, but I can't place when or where or why.
happened at some
All
point.
right. So in 2005, in a game against Arkansas,
Oh man.
Oris Lambert had a very important interception that set up the game-winning touchdown for South Carolina.
To Kenny
Can-
McKinley.
Can you name the quarterback he picked off?
Oh,
Well,
not Matt Jones, was it?
Was it?
All right, 2005. So Matt Jones was definitely Matt Jones. I feel like there was some carryover. I do know that Matt Jones was also there when Lou Holtz was there. Because who told this story? Did you see this going around? Because
when Lou Holtz was at South Carolina.
at South Carolina.
Yeah.
Because Lou, because he was at Arkansas too.
Yep.
Yeah, I was confusing. Because I remember somebody told a story recently. Was Houston Nutt the Arkansas coach in like 04, 05?
That sounds right.
Yes.
Okay. I think
90%
so. I
sure.
think Houston Nutt, who's a great storyteller, is the one who told this, and he said that Lou Holtz came up to him like either before or after a game and was like, "Coach, when is Matt Jones going to graduate?"
That's a good Lou Holtz.
So
I feel like it was not Matt Jones, but
you said it first, so I think you got in at the buzzer,
But
right, Tyler? He would get credit.
If he got it right, he gets credit.
if I say,
And by the way, yes, that was Houston Nutt that coached that Arkansas team.
Okay,
I feel like there was another. It's going to be one of those names that we're like, oh yeah, I remember that guy, but you had no reason to ever remember that guy again. Like he was a solid quarterback. The only other Arkansas quarterback I can think of right now is Mitch Mustaine.
we
Former.
had Ryan Mallett.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
It was
Ryan
later.
Mallett.
And there's one more guy I'm thinking of that I can't remember if he was a little bit after that, like Spurrier era, like 07, like 06, or if it was
What's
like
the
that
name?
first year. Casey Dick.
Do we have our answers in? What are we going with?
I feel like Wes beat me to the punch, so let me.
yeah, I will just say Matt Jones.
Yeah, and I'm going to
Because
say
with-
Casey Dick because I'm not going to win anyway.
Okay. Kale, roll the clip.
Tied in after he left his block. Here's Casey Dick trying to set up a screen. It's picked off at the 44-yard line by Oris Lambert, the senior from Jacksonville, Florida, with perhaps a play of the day for the Gamecocks.
It was indeed Casey
Let's
Dick.
go.
You got it right.
Matt Jones, great guess.
Wow.
Good
That was a good guess.
Wow.
Because let's see, when did Matt Jones start for them? He was 2002, 2004. So he just missed it by a year.
So he did graduate after Lou Holtz left.
And then Mitch Mustaine was 06.
Okay.
So
and then Mallet.
Yeah. And
I
then,
think.
so you
I feel like
had,
that was all like some pretty good pulls there.
yeah.
I think if we
in
like,
terms of
we
Arkansas
could do an
quarterbacks.
Arkansas radio show. Like that was some
Sure.
pretty good history there.
All right. I got a bonus half
Okay.
point trivia question
All right.
for Chris that I'm 90% sure happened. So
Okay.
you're gonna
Great.
have to check me on this.
All right.
So South Carolina, God, I hope I'm getting this game right. I will go back and double check, but we're gonna roll with it. South Carolina, Arkansas lore. South Carolina, the year before that, so 04, would have hosted Arkansas. Early in this game, there was a key South Carolina turnover that looked like it was going to have a huge role in how the game turned out, but it got wiped out. Why did it get wiped out?
I have no idea. Okay, so 2004 on the road.
No.
Oh, at home. Yeah, you said at home. Yeah, 05 was on the road. 2004 at home against Arkansas. Dude, I don't have the slightest idea.
All right, it looked like a turnover for South Carolina, but it was either on the opening kickoff or Arkansas had scored and was kicking the ball back to South Carolina. It looked like the ball had hit the turf and it was recovered by Arkansas. They ruled that the ball hit the Skycam ESPN like cable and that it was a dead ball and was not a turnover.
Okay. The JP Sports cable.
Yes.
Yeah. By the
They
way,
have one?
the 05 game was a JP Sports game with Dave, and Dave.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Even better.
No points on the bonus.
No points on the
if
bonus.
that even happened.
We might go back and look. Actually, that didn't happen at all.
I'm pretty sure
No.
that happened because it was Demetrius Summers, I think,
Who was
that
return-
it looked like had. It's not a muff, I guess, on a kickoff, but might as well be.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
I don't remember that at all.
Well, Chris, you've closed the gap back down to half a point now.
Hmm.
West leads 14.5 to 14.
Would I've gotten a half point if I got that right? If
Yeah.
that event actually
That
happened?
would be a very impressive thing to remember with how weird and obscure that is.
Mhm. That
So,
is
yeah.
true. Hard to make that up.
Any 50 suggestions for tomorrow?
Ooh, number 50.
Get back to you on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm kind of blanking on that right now.
Okay. Check back in on that later
You're
today.
probably going to have to come up with a statistical
Yeah, I feel like I can find one for 50.
statistical question there.
We'll see what happens. Jake Crane of the Crane and Cone podcast going to join us coming up on the other side as we continue on with the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs live at Midas on Gervais Street on your Thursday on the game. All right, welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West and Chris along with you here again at Midas on Gervais Street, getting you set for the big autograph event later on today and getting us one step closer to the start of the college football season. We head out to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Welcome in from the Crane and Cone podcast, our guy Jake Crane. Jake, appreciate the time as always, man. What signals the start of football season for you? Is it media days? Is it preseason camp? Or do you wait until toe finally meets leather?
Well, look, I'm an eternal optimist, so I try and get started as early as possible. And, you know, like you guys, when you cover it year round, amongst other things, to me, it's spring practice. That's when you start getting a couple answers. You don't get all of them. Obviously, there's a lot of quarterback battles going on. We know how the transfer portal works. But the minute that new team gets on the field to start practice, it kind of gets, you know, the bat signal goes in the air. But to me, the true feeling is once you get past media days for everybody, because once that happens, you're a couple weeks from the start of fall camp. And by that point, we're in it, baby. We're a couple days from Ireland.
Hey, Jake, it's Wes. Appreciate you hopping on, man. Good to hear from you. Let's talk some Gamecocks here. Obviously, give us some outside perspective from, you know, more of a national landscape. You mentioned answers and questions a second ago. What are your biggest maybe questions for South Carolina that you think they're going to have to answer if they're going to have a bounce back year this season?
Well, I mean, I think it's the most obvious one, guys. And when you look at South Carolina, if I was a South Carolina fan, the thing that would frustrate me the most is we have a couple Lamborghinis, but we can't ever let them out of the garage because the offensive line hadn't been good enough. That's just the truth. I mean, Lenora Sellers has ran away from everybody except the FBI in the last couple of years. And I want it not just for South Carolina fans, but to really be able to see the potential of Lenoris, because it's going to be so sad if the offensive line is below average again this year. So you're going to have to be fighting uphill and really do it yourself. And if it doesn't work, and then he goes to the league and balls out. I don't want that. I like Coach Beamer a lot. I got a lot of respect for Shane. He's always treated us really well. But it's not like South Carolina's super far off. You know, it's not like there's 9 different things that has to be fixed for them to be a legitimate playoff contender. Last year, you're one of the worst teams in the country in running the ball. The last 3 years, I think you've given up a total of 142 sacks. That's unacceptable. That shouldn't happen at a place like South Carolina. And the problem has been identified. It just hasn't been fixed. And the crazy thing is, if they fix it, I don't put a ceiling on this team because they're that talented. The only other thing I'll say is Nicholas Harbor's got to be able to run more than 2 routes. He's got to be able to run more than 2 routes. You can't just run the vert, and you can't just run the post. You got to be able to punch the dig. You got to be able to keep defenses guessing. You're going to run by him a couple times, but if his bag gets opened, that's going to open up a whole other side of the field because it takes a battalion to guard that guy if he can do that. So those are the 2 things I look at.
Jake, the guy that's going to be in charge with helping fix a lot of what you just brought up, Kendall Briles, comes in. Really the first sort of college-oriented OC that we've seen Beamer turn to here in Columbia. Over the years, what has stood out to you about Kendall Briles and what he'll maybe try to do with this offense, man?
Well, you know, to your point, it is a very college-oriented offense, and what do we mean by that? I mean, it's true spread, it's alternate splits. Never forget, Josh Heupel didn't invent the wide choice offense. Art Briles really did when you go back and look when he was at Baylor. So, you know, Kendall obviously comes from that tree. What I like the most probably about Kendall is I think he has answers to deficiencies. And what I mean by that is, you know, he's not going to go pro style where you got to live in 11 personnel and 12 personnel and you're trying to bash your head against the wall to open up things down the field or to be able to spread yourself out. Kendall's going to go into it thinking, I'm going to spread the defense out. I'm going to make them be thin at certain places, and I'm going to be able to attack them at those places. It's not as condensed as what you've seen, and I think that's going to help Lenoris out. I think that's going to help South Carolina get into 2nd and 6 instead of 2nd and 9, which gets you to 3rd and 2 instead of 3rd and 6. So I think being able to be a little bit more open to being a little bit more conducive to doing alternative things, supplementing maybe a lack of a run game with a short pass game early, the nows, the bubbles, slants, hitches, things like that. So you're not just boxed into having to do a couple things to open up other things. That's where I think Kendall can really make a difference for this offense overall.
Jake, it's Chris. Thanks again for taking time, man. So one of the things that has excited Gamecock fans is that Georgia is back on South Carolina's schedule this year. Despite the results, you know, an old SEC East battle, a lot of great games in the past. And so Gamecock fans feel like, hey, it's only right to have Georgia on the schedule. And on your program, you outlined that game as a potential upset for this season. I'd be curious to get your thoughts as to why, you know, you've got that game circled as a potential college football upset this season.
Yeah, well, I think obviously kind of where it falls on the schedule matters. When you look through it, the way you kind of segment games, some coaches say, hey, we're playing 3-4 game segments. Some other coaches say, hey, we're playing 4 3-game segments. I think probably the main reason is because I do think, and again, this is all going to come down to whether South Carolina can hang up front. Because if you can't hang up front, Georgia's going to eat you alive. I don't care if you got Superman at quarterback, which you really got a version of Superman at quarterback. But I do think if the stars align and it works out, South Carolina's got the horses to run with them. South Carolina's got guys that can make big plays against Georgia. They have guys that can threaten Georgia offensively and defensively, I believe. So I don't think outside of the offensive line, which is a big question, there's this humongous talent gap at every position group between South Carolina and Georgia. So if you're looking at it from an optimistic view, or maybe even you put a great game together. I watched South Carolina look like Brady's New England Patriots for the first half against A&M, and then obviously they totally forgot in the second half. But it's in them. You just got to put it together. So where it is on the schedule, what South Carolina can do to you as well if it lines up, that's why I don't think it's some crazy take to think South Carolina could beat them.
Talking to Jake Crane. Jake, let's go outside of our Gamecock bubble here, man. I was looking on your social media. Y'all's latest episode was the Boldest College Football Guarantees show. Want to encourage everybody listening to go out there and check out the episode. But, man, give us one or two of your bold guarantees for the college football season coming up.
Well, and I think, you know, when you have bold guarantees, it's not like craziest takes, right? Like if I'm going to guarantee something, it can't be that nuts, but this is like on the line of where the next thing I would not guarantee, if that makes sense, to give people a barometer. You know, one that I had that I don't think is as nuts as, I don't think Sorsby's that much better than Hammond at Texas Tech. Like size-wise, right, just natural what you got at birth, yeah, he's bigger. But I don't think Will, and again, Will's coming off the ACL injury, I don't think Sorsby's done enough that all of a sudden now Texas Tech's going to fall off a cliff, because they're so much better than I think everybody else in the Big 12 position group-wise and on the line of scrimmage. So I don't see Texas Tech losing again. I think Texas Tech's going 12-0. I feel as good about guaranteeing that as I did with Sorsby, because I'm just not one of these Sorsby truthers that think this guy's going to come in and be Batman. I just always thought he was a pretty good Robin.
Again, talking to Jake Crane of the Crane and Cohen podcast. Of course, the Big Ten has won the past 3 national championships, while the SEC hasn't even appeared in that game. Is it a 4th straight year for the Big Ten? Does the SEC get back and finally win one, or does some other conference pick up a national championship?
Well, it's funny because, you know, I could obviously say, hey, you know, the SEC is going to win it, regardless of whether that's Texas or Georgia. But what if I told you no conference is going to win the national title?
That's also an option.
I'm looking at this Notre Dame team, and say what you want about the scheduling and stuff like that. This Notre Dame team is different. Like Marcus Freeman has upgraded the overall athleticism and athletic depth at Notre Dame, and CJ Carr, I think, is going to end up being the #1 overall pick in the draft when his time comes. I think he's that good. They're going to have one of the best offensive lines in the country. They've got another really good running back room, even though they just lost an elite running back room. The wide receiver group is experienced, and they've added to it. The kids they got from Ohio State, Quincy and the other kid, have a chance to be really good to go along with Faison, and Greathouse is back healthy. And the defense is going to be nuts. They got some young D linemen that they've developed that are going to be absolute nasty to go along with a great linebacker group and a really good secondary. And because they don't have to go through that conference schedule, they're going to be better rested and I think less beat up than a lot of other teams. They don't have to play a conference championship game, guys. So I'm going to say no conference wins the national title.
Think the ACC might try and claim like half of that because of the association with Notre Dame?
Look, at this point, they got to, right? You've got put on as much makeup as you can. That's why I always have my first date in the pool.
Wise words.
Jake, as we close this thing out, man, you're an astute college football viewer. Who is the guy that is going to be a household name this season that we're all not talking about enough yet? Is there a dude out there that you just love their game that we're just not saying enough about yet, man?
I'll give you one. How about
Okay.
Tre'Davious Green from LSU?
Okay, yep.
Some people saw him. I watched the dude can play basketball too. I watched him coming against Bama off the bench when he joined the team, and he did like a 360 dunk the first possession. But this guy has a chance to be different than a lot of guys that we've seen. He's huge, but he's lean. He can run. He doesn't mind physicality. He's a football player. He's not a track guy. He's not a basketball guy. He's a football player. And in Lane Kiffin's offense, with the weapons they have around him, he's going to get some one-on-one in the seam. And if he goes against a linebacker or a safety, or I'll be honest with you, put anybody against him. Physically, there's nobody that can match up with him. I would not be shocked if he had one of the best years that we've seen a quote-unquote tight end have. Give me Tre'Davious Green from LSU.
Jake, man, appreciate the time as always. Sure we'll be talking to you now, either before the season gets here while the season's going on, and appreciate the time as always.
Hey, anytime, guys. I'm telling you, something feels right about South Carolina. So just wait. I may have a prediction coming up here soon. I think Gamecock fans may like.
Stay tuned to the Crane and Cone podcast for that prediction. Jake Crane there joining us on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the hour and the day here at Midas as the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs rolls along here on the game. All right, welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West and Chris wrapping up the morning here at Midas at 1515 Gervais Street. Been a lot of fun. Again, the event coming up later on today between 3:30 and 5:30. You can meet a ton of your favorite Gamecocks, including Lenore Sellers, Nick Harbor, Jaden Sellers, and so many more. And as we talked about earlier with Gus and Matt, there's also the coupon book of things where you can get deals on oil changes and tires and all those kind of things if you're not already working with the Midas here on Gervais Street just yet. But yeah, it's been a fun morning so far. I asked Jack and Wes in the last hour, since the topic of today is autographs. Do you have a autograph that you hold near and dear, Chris, or one that stands out to you in your collection at all?
Ooh. I do. It's actually back at our childhood home in Anderson. I had King Griffey Jr. I loved. Like, I never really got to watch him play a lot.
Sure.
There weren't a lot of Mariners games like that I caught because I was watching the Braves grow up.
Yeah.
For some reason, I always gravitated. He had the baseball game on N64.
Yep.
I just love Griffey.
He had the prettiest swing of all time.
Oh man, it was beautiful. So I have a King Griffey Jr. like authenticated autograph. I didn't get it from him. I just bought it. Right. I have that. I think that's the main one. I have some autograph like sports cards, that you've gotten. Like, I've got some Gamecock. I think I have a Steve Spurrier like autographed card. Sidney Rice. Like, there's some other random ones in there because I used to be a big card collector. So I've got some like Gamecock football cards. I was a big baseball card guy. So there's a few scattered in there.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. And again, as we get into doing this job in sports media, you kind of become desensitized to it. And obviously it's not professional to ask for autographs and things like that when you're doing these kind of jobs. But great opportunity to come out today and meet a bunch of these guys that are going to play very important roles on the team this year. Okay, do we have, what is this clip? Is that from the
confirmation
the 04
that
game?
I did not make it up.
All right.
It did happen.
All right, so set the scene for us again. Well, what's happening here? This is Arkansas, South Carolina, 2004.
Yeah, game. Pretty sure South Carolina went on to win, but they were down 7-0 early on. Arkansas kicking the ball back off to South Carolina. It looked like, and it was not Demetrius Summers. It was one of the up men, Brian Brownlee, who was a tight end. It looked like he tried to catch the ball and hits off of him, recovered by Arkansas. Big scrum. Nobody seemed to know. I remember being in the stadium. Nobody knew what happened.
Yeah.
And then finally the referees came on and said it hit the cord, I guess, the wire, and it would be a re-kick.
Okay.
Carolina did win that game 35-32.
It's a pretty important play.
Game-winning pass from Savell Newton to Troy Williamson. And Co Simpson intercepted Matt Jones
to end the game.
Matt
Jones threw up I remember that play. Matt Jones threw up a perfect center field, like just lobbed it right, like must have got completely confused, I think. Because that was always the thing with Matt Jones, too. That dude would make incredible plays, but then he would also make mind-numbing plays, and just threw a pop fly to Co Simpson in center field, I think.
Okay.
Watching Co Simpson play, well, I mean,
that was a dude.
2 years we got to see him.
Yes.
He was absolutely incredible.
It was a good football game.
It was a great game.
They this morning, Elijah and Preston were doing
Would Preston have been on the field? 04?
When did he get injured?
I don't remember the year of that one.
I don't know if he would have been on the field for that one, but Elijah and Preston were doing explosive play for your life this morning, where they'd have to pick a receiver and a defensive back for an explosive play. Who's you're going to have catching it? Who you're going to have defending it? For safety or for the defensive back, he picked Co Simpson. Says the best, or at least one of the best he's ever saw. Again, being a teammate probably helps out with that. But
helped, yeah.
That was something they talked about earlier today.
He was a ball hawk. I mean, great player. Offense, there's a lot of options to pull from. What? Go back up. What was it? Like, play for your life?
Yeah,
like,
so
you need a big play.
Basically, it was like 4th and 15, you have to choose any former Gamecock receiver, but the
Oh,
other
has to be a
side,
Gamecock.
the other side gets to pick who's defending against them. And of course, they went like Debo and Alshon Jeffrey.
Oh, yeah.
I think they may have thrown Harbor in there too.
Sorry,
but-
Sidney Rice has to be.
Yeah,
there.
it's going to
Sidney
be
Rice.
for me. It's either going to be Alshon or Sidney Rice.
Yeah.
Like if we're throwing a jump ball one-on-one situation, and I'm just praying somebody catches it, it's either 1 or 4. Like those are the only two I'm even considering. I think.
I'd put Nick Eamon-Mori in there on my.
You
throw
think
a
he was
ball
one of
up.
theirs?
Yeah, you throw a ball up. Yeah, I thought you were going general college football, and I had some guys, pop in my mind.
Yeah, we could be
especially
here all day for guys naming dudes.
guys
on that
naming
one, but
dudes on
They're trying
who do you
to
need.
they're trying to keep it as limited to South Carolina, which is always cool. Again, I appreciate everybody here out at Midas for allowing us to be out here this morning. Certainly looking forward to the event later on today, and so just another sign that college football is almost here. And Wes, as you said, your last chance to really maybe meet these guys before the season starts.
Yeah, we've been telling them all morning. 3:30 to 5:30, 1515 Gervais Street. Awesome facility. They're going to have part of the guys out front, part of the guys coming in through the facility here in the AC, and come out, take a photo, get an autograph. Promise you'll have an awesome time. And you can get one of these awesome vouchers for a free oil change too. 1515 Gervais Street.
So thanks to Matt, thanks to Gus, and everybody here at Midas for allowing us to be out here. Halftime show up next on your Thursday on the game.
All right, Charles, we close out the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Let's tell you about one of our great partners that you hear about every day on the show. It's our friends over at Integrated Media. Serve all the Midlands, home or business. They've got use cases. They can help you out with any of your audiovisual